And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went out unto the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther, the queen. For he saw that was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the palace in the banquet of wines. And Haman had fallen upon the bed whereon Queen Esther was. Then said the king, Wilt thou force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth and covered Haman's face, and one of the chamberlains said before the king, Behold also a gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who has given good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then said the king, Hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. On the day that did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman the Jews' enemy unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told him what was unto her. And the king told off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai and Esther, and set Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman and Hagethite and his devices that he had devised against the Jews. Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther, so that Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, If I please thee, king, if I have found favor in thy sight, the thing seemeth right before the king, and if I please in thy eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews, which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see evil that shall come upon my people, or how can I endure to see destruction of my kinsmen? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him that hanged upon the gallows, because he laid hands upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews, it is liketh you, in the king's name, and set it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written is the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, may not be reversed. Then were the king's scribes called, and all the times in the third month, in the month of Sivan, and on the 23 day thereof, it was written, according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to all the lieutenants, and the deputies and rulers of the province, which are from India unto Ethiopia, and 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writings, and according to their language. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters to all by post of horseback and riders, of mules and camels, and young dromedaries, wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together, and to stand for their lives, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the powers of the people and provinces that would assault them, both little and ones of women, and take the spoils of their for a prey. Upon one day in all the provinces the king Ahasuerus named upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is called the month of Adar, the copy of the writing or for a commandment to be given into every province, which was published unto all people, that the